All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Rutgers University School of Social Work Open House. We're so excited to be here with you this morning. My name's Laura DiMarcantonio, and I am the Assistant Dean of Admissions. And let me start by saying that you're here investigating a very exciting profession and one with many diverse career opportunities. It's also one of the fastest growing professions. In fact, the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects 7% job growth in social work positions over the next 10 years, and many areas of the profession will see even more growth. In Rutgers MSW program, you'll have the opportunity to explore the many areas where social workers are practicing. And as a Tier 1 research institution, which is a school accredited by the Council for Social Work Education, you'll be earning a highly respected degree while working alongside faculty who are really driving change locally, nationally, globally. And I also want to highlight our school's strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've taken and continue to take significant steps to advance DEI throughout our school. For example, as a student, you'll become familiar with Dr. Barbara Love's Liberatory Consciousness Framework, which addresses anti-racism and oppression and guides our curriculum development, students' work in their practicum placements, and the work of staff and faculty at the school. And now, to share a little bit more about our school and our shared values, I'd like to introduce you to our Dean and Distinguished Professor, Dr. George Leibowitz.
Thank you so much, Laura. As you can see, probably from my background, I am traveling, but I am so committed to this school and everyone that's interested in joining us that I'm in the car now. So apologize for the decorum of the car, the interior of the car. As Laura kindly stated, it is such a pleasure to welcome you to the open house, and we're so grateful that you're interested in joining the School of Social Work. As I'm reflecting, I know I just have a few minutes with you, but I just wanted to reflect on my own journey entering the field of social work. And as Laura alluded to, we come from interdisciplinary spaces in all walks of life. My own journey began with an interest in engineering, photography, psychiatry, and ultimately wound up getting family therapy training at the University of Rochester, where then most of my colleagues surrounding me were really heavily trained social workers. They all had MSWs, and you'll find in your own journey that social workers are interface every aspect of our work, everything from residential care and working with children to forensic work and the intersection of law to justice and policy analysis to the use of technology and the ethical use of artificial intelligence to solve the world's pressing problems, if you will. We also operate in heavy political spaces and have tremendous influence on legislation and so many other domains. In other words, we are literally everywhere. Social workers are needed in every domain. And our own school, as you can probably imagine, is really our leaders and innovators in social work. We have incredible faculty and staff, top in their areas of research that Laura also alluded to. We are awarded major grants and funding as a top R1 institution and certificate programs and major centers that you'll learn about today. So we are so delighted that you're interested in joining us in our school at this particular time. Needless to say, if you let me sort of be a proud parent of sorts, if you will, we are 12th ranked in the U.S. News and World Report for MSW programs nationally, and we're climbing in those charts. And we have, on top of that, a very warm, inviting, collegial atmosphere and community with a strong commitment to students, faculty, and staff broadly. So we hope you will come join us. We are thrilled that you're here. And please, I'll turn it now back over to Laura, who will give you to kick off the next part of our program today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Dean Leibowitz, and safe travels to you. And now we have
Thanks
a full program, a very full program this morning designed to introduce you to the many unique opportunities available with a Rutgers MSW. Many of our faculty leaders will be joining us this morning, and I'd also like to introduce you to my fellow admissions hosts today. Assistant Director of Admissions and Recruitment Larry Lester is here, and admissions counselors Fran Jackowitz and Jonathan Molina. We also have Zach Thomas from our school's IT department. He's here to assist with our program as well.
User friendly.
A couple of notes about our program. We will have breakout rooms opening periodically, and we'll make announcements as that happens. The admissions breakout room uniquely will be staffed throughout open house, so feel free to jump in there if you have an immediate question during our event. We do also ask that you remain muted until the Q&A sessions, but feel free to use your Zoom reactions or type questions into the chat box throughout our event. So we're going to begin open house with an overview of the diverse MSW programs that we offer. And while I'm talking, first of all, I invite each of you to share your undergraduate degree or professional background in the chat box at the bottom of the screen. You can just use a sentence or two to tell us where you're coming from. And do please note that those of you who are typing in social work as your undergraduate degree will most likely be applying to one of our advanced standing programs. So students who have earned their BSW or BASW from a CSWE accredited institution are eligible for an accelerated advanced standing curriculum. So while you're typing, let's talk a little bit about our curriculum. The full MSW curriculum is completed in 60 credits. The first 30 credits are known as the generalist curriculum, and the last 30 credits are your specialized courses. Those of you qualified for advanced standing will complete the degree in 39 credits because you jumped straight into that specialized coursework. Now, prior to starting advanced coursework, students do select a specialization in either clinical social work or management policy, or MAP as we call it. Throughout our program this morning, you're going to hear from faculty and program directors about different specializations and practicum learning. So for now, I'll just say that your specialization impacts your respective elective courses and advanced standing and advanced practicum placement. Practicum learning is a very important part of the MSW curriculum, and students in the 60-credit MSW program complete 1,125 hours, while advanced standing students complete 675 hours. So I'm just going to take a look at the chat box. I see lots of very different backgrounds here: microbiology, biophysics, cognitive neuroscience, and currently a foster caseworker. That's awesome. Really different backgrounds. Wonderful. Our student body is also incredibly diverse, and we do find that the different backgrounds that our students bring to the classroom make for a particularly enriching experience. So thank you all for sharing those details. Finance, banking, wonderful. So I'm now going to talk a little bit about each of the MSW program formats. Keep in mind that regardless of which format you choose, the curriculum is the same. What differs is how the coursework and practicum hours are completed, and there are some variations in the certificates offered in each program. So first, we offer a traditional on-campus MSW, which is available on the three main Rutgers campuses, which is New Brunswick, Camden, and Newark. And this program can be completed in 2, 3, or 4 years. And even as an on-campus student, you do have some options to take online classes. There are also some evening and synchronous remote sections. In-person classes typically meet once a week for 2 hours and 40 minutes. This program has a fall start for the 60-credit MSW or summer start if you're eligible for that advanced standing curriculum. The 100% online MSW program can be completed in 2 years or 3 years. Classes are asynchronous, meaning you don't have to log in at a particular time, but there are assignment due dates that students must adhere to. Many of you are probably familiar with the asynchronous online courses. The fully online program has a fall, spring, or summer start, and the curriculum runs year-round. So for example, if you start in spring 2025, you'll be in class spring, summer, and fall for 2 to 3 years as you complete the degree. Practicum learning starts in your first semester for the 2-year program and the third semester for your 3-year program. Advanced standing students can also complete their degree 100% online. This accelerated program has a fall start with practicum learning beginning immediately and continuing throughout the degree. The blended online MSW program is a 3-year part-time degree and offers the option to complete the first 2 years almost completely online, and then enroll in a blend of online and in-person courses. This program has a fall start, and students are in class in the fall, spring, and summer semesters. Practicum learning begins in the 3rd semester in the blended online program, and I will note that this is the only MSW format that does not have an advanced standing option. The intensive weekend program is a part-time program where students take 2 classes per semester. One weekend each month, students attend an in-person meeting that runs Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 5 at one of our off-site locations. The locations to choose from are Jersey City, New Brunswick, Bordentown, and Mays Landing. And this program is completed in 3 years or just under 2 years for advanced standing students. This is a really unique program and was specifically designed for human services employees. So to be eligible, applicants must have at least 1 year of experience and be working full-time in a related field when they enroll. For example, we have DCP&P employees, secondary school teachers in this program. Intensive weekend does begin in the fall. It is a fall-only major for both advanced standing and non-advanced standing students. Professional credit courses, or PCCs, are non-matriculated courses that can count towards your MSW degree. Students frequently take PCC courses because they want to sample the MSW curriculum or perhaps try out a graduate level course before applying. PCCs can also be a great way to strengthen a future application to the MSW. And while successful completion of PCCs does not guarantee your admission to the MSW, earning a B or better in these courses can help demonstrate graduate degree readiness in the MSW admissions to the MSW admissions committee. PCCs are typically offered online and include several of the required foundation level MSW courses. And lastly, I want to highlight the diverse dual degree options that are available to students in the on-campus MSW program. Each dual degree has a specialized curriculum to help you earn 2 degrees in an accelerated way and develop skills and experience in a particular area. All of the dual degree programs are designed to be completed full-time and in person, although some online courses are available. The JD MSW is a 4-year combined law degree with the MSW and the MSW and is offered through a partnership with Rutgers Law School, which is located in Camden and in Newark. The MSW MPP is a combined master's in social work and public policy, and this is offered by our school in a partnership with Rutgers' highly ranked Blaustein School of Public Policy in New Brunswick. The MSW MPH is offered through our partnership with Rutgers School of Public Health in Piscataway, and both the MSW and MPP are 3-year programs. The MSW and MA in Criminal Justice is offered through a partnership with the School of Criminal Justice in Newark. And this dual degree program is completed in just 2 years. So the same amount of time it takes to earn the MSW, you can add 1 semester on in the summer. Students take a total of 66 credits to earn both of those degrees. And finally, we have the combined master's and PhD in social work for students who are passionate about research and typically considering a teaching or an academic career. The duration of this dual degree varies depending on the student's academic background. So I know I went through these details really quickly. However, I do promise there'll be plenty of time to discuss these programs further as we move through today's program. Right now, I do want to turn the floor over to Dr. Tawanda Hubbard and Dr. Anna Haley, who are going to tell you more about the clinical social work and management and policy specializations. Dr. Hubbard.
Good morning. Thank you, Laura. It's so beautiful to be here. Good morning, everyone. I want to say that it's a pleasure to be with you this morning to talk a little bit about our clinical specialization here at Rutgers School of Social Work. But before I dive in, I just want to share with you what it means when we're talking about clinical social work, just to give some context before I start discussing our clinical specialization. So, according to the Center for clinical social work consists of it consists of mental health practitioners who are educated, trained, and supervised who master a distinctive body of knowledge and skills in order to be able to assess, diagnose, and ameliorate problems, disorders, and conditions that interfere with healthy biopsychosocial spiritual functioning of people. And when I say people, I'm talking about working with individuals, couples, families, and groups of all ages and diverse backgrounds. Given that definition, when we talk about clinical specialization here at Rutgers School of Social Work, it focuses on students developing an in-depth knowledge and comprehensive skills in engagement, assessment, intervention and evaluation of one's clinical practice and client outcomes to enhance the well-being and functioning of individuals, families, and groups that you will serve. At Rutgers, in the clinical specialization, you will be taught to address personal and interpersonal functioning in a flexible, culturally responsive, and empowering ways with a social justice consciousness. It is important to note here that we broadly define clinical social work because it encompasses more than just the traditional in-person or virtual private practice psychotherapy that's provided. Clinical skills are essential to all aspects of social work that involve direct client contact in all situations in which persons in client status seek support, behavioral change, and emotional relief. For example, clinical skills are essential working with hospice clients, those involved in the criminal justice system, families that are involved in child welfare and child protection, and persons in client status who typically receive case management services. So, at the heart of clinical specialization here at Rutgers School of Social Work, it's about enhancing, promoting individuals and family well being. Now, I want to just talk a little bit about some of the courses that we offer. And so when you think about one of our core clinical social work courses, we call it Clinical Social Work 1. It focuses on working with individuals. In this course, students will learn how to create solid therapeutic relationship skills, how to cultivate a working alliance with the client, and build a foundational knowledge of working with the interior of a person. And when I'm talking about the interior of the person, I'm talking about working with their thoughts, their feelings, and their behaviors. We cover an interpersonal approach, which is an integrated approach that really encompasses psychodynamic, humanistic, attachment, and family system perspectives. In this course, you also learn about cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a gold standard, an introduction to dialectical behavioral therapy, which is an approach to therapy that teaches clients how to cope with stress and also teaches them skills to improve their emotional self regulation, increase their distress tolerance, cultivate mindfulness, and also develop interpersonal effectiveness skills. So, students also in Clinical Social Work 1 will also learn skills and knowledge how to navigate and process terminating services with persons in client status, right? We also have another core course, Clinical Social Work 2. And in that course, students will learn about how to create and facilitate different types of group therapies, such as supportive, skill-based, psychotherapeutic process groups, along with learning how to work with diverse families and learning different established schools of family therapy approaches and clinical models to work directly with families and with couples. And in addition to offering and taking Clinical Social Work 1 and 2, we offer some advanced practical distribution courses where students get to choose an elective of your liking that focus on a certain client population you want to work with or an issue that you want to work with. So some of those courses we offer are Clinical Social Work with adolescents, Clinical Social Work with healthcare, Clinical Social Work in schools, and Clinical Social Work looking to work directly with clients who struggle with addictive behaviors, just to name a few. So this is just a brief overview, right, of clinical specialization, and I look forward to answering your questions directly when we move into the Q&A. So I want to turn it back over to Laura. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hubbard. And we also have Dr. Anna Haley here with us to talk about NAP.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you guys here. So you all are here because you are considering or you're decided on applying to a school social work program, hopefully to ours, and getting information. I want to back up and talk about why social work is amazing, and why you may be dead set on social work and you're thinking about Rutgers and getting more information, or you might be thinking about social work in the context of some other program. So I want to make the pitch, and then I want to dig into specifically why I'm here, which is the macro side, management policy. So what's the pitch? Social work is totally unique among all of the helping professions. right? Because it's unique from psychology, from counseling, from marital therapy, and then on the other side, from public policy, public management, yes, even business, that's more obvious. Why? Because we are about person and environment. We train our folks in micro to macro practice. What does that mean? It means that these days, and for a long time since, and it will continue into the future for sure, social problems are complex, they're chronic, they're persistent, they're really hard to tackle. And social work believes that it requires a multi-systems, multi-institution, multi-level approach to understand what's driving those and to fix them. So what you get in a social work program, and definitely at Rutgers, is training in all of that, in micro to macro. So you have a foundation part that will give you that exposure, those tools, those lenses, those insights across all of that. And then you move into specialization. And my colleague, Dr. Hubbard, talked about the more micro side of specialization that students ultimately get into in many cases. And I'm here to talk about the macro side. But I want to just note that social work is the only game in town in providing you with that profoundly necessary, we think, and helpful set of insights and tools for solving social problems well. But that's the first pitch. We're also about social justice. We've adopted a liberatory consciousness lens that permeates everything we teach, everything we do, and we think that students leave our program with a really powerful set of tools for that reason as well. So that's what I'm selling so far. So now let me move into, and what we're all selling, let me move into what MAP is. That's management and policy. So that's when we're thinking about micro to macro. So going from very intrapersonal, individual level thoughts about what causes problems and how to solve them, moving along upstream into more systems thinking. MAP, management and policy, is getting into how communities, organizations, policies, how they play a role in problems and in solutions to problems. So again, all social work students will get training in basically MAP through the foundation curriculum that first year, just thinking about the 2-year program. It varies in terms of how we do this across the wonderful array of different MSW programs. But then moving into that kind of specialized advanced practice part of the curriculum, students who take management and policy will learn more detailed practical skills in engaging organizations, communities, and policies around social change. That involves a set of, every specialization that in our programs has a set of required classes, 2 of them, and then a set of electives. So our required classes teach around theories and practice tools around management. The first class is management, theory, and practice. And then another one that's in kind of planning, and both, program planning and strategic planning and organizations. And we pair those insights about managing people and programs with a set of electives. And those electives are topical around things like financial planning and fundraising and marketing and supervision and consultation, which reaches into clinical supervision as well, human resource management, and community organizing. I'm kind of giving you the basics, but I want to note again that even in social work, again, back to what makes it unique, even if you pursue a clinical focus, and to be honest, most students do. I bet a lot of you who are considering social work up against other helping professions, or our program in clinical social work against others, you're mindful about potentially pursuing clinical work. But the MAP side, that macro side, provides this really important context for you distinguishing yourselves, again, from psychology and other professions, and thinking about what it is, those systems that your clients are facing, the policies, the organizations, the institutions that are shaping profoundly their intrapsychic realities and their family experiences, so that you have all the insights and tools possible for addressing their problems. And I think that kind of covers it. So I'm here for the next section, but I'm going to hand it back to our run of show.
Thank you, Dr. Haley. Okay. So we're now going to open the floor up for you to ask questions and learn more about the programs and specializations that we've briefly reviewed and highlighted here. And I'm very excited to tell you that we have a panel of faculty and program directors here. And so we're going to invite anyone with questions to raise your hand and type your question in the chat box. I would like to first of all just introduce you briefly to our panelists today. We have Dr. Jack Lewis, Director of the Intensive Weekend Program, Amy Strickler, who is our Assistant Director of the Intensive Weekend Program. Christine Chappé is our Director of Online MSW Programs. We also have Arlene Hunter, the Assistant Dean of Student Affairs. I believe we may also have Dr. Tangela Sawyer here from Student Affairs as well. And of course, as you just met, Dr. Tawanda Hubbard and Dr. Anna Haley are also here to address your questions about the specializations. Also, last but not least, I do want to introduce you to two current MSW students that we have joining us here on the panel to provide their perspective on the Rutgers MSW. Chanel is here. She is a full-time MSW student on the New Brunswick campus. And we also have Madeline, who's one of our advanced standing MSW students studying on the Newark campus. So before we get started, just please note that this panel is focused on the different MSW formats and specializations. There will be a session later in the program for questions about certificates, global programs, and practicum learning. So hold those questions for now. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and open the floor up to you, our guests. If you have questions, go ahead and use your reactions down there to raise your hand, and I will call on you, and you can then unmute. So let's see who we have questions from first here. Starting to see, let's see. Here we go. I see, I apologize. Am I saying your name right? Is it Jotun?
Yes, it's Jyotin Keher.
Jotun, welcome. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, so I'm interested in the full-time 2-year program in New Brunswick because I live in Piscataway. My question is, look, I'm applying to Columbia and University of Michigan, which is the #1 ranked schools, and they all have different pathways. So if I had to think about, can you talk about what the pathways are? If I want to focus on children and youth, how does that specially apply to the clinical specialization and the MAP specialization, if you will, for focusing on children and youth?
Sure. I'll ask because you're asking specifically kind of how you can build that experience, I think, into the specialization. So I'll let Dr. Haley and Dr. Hubbard speak to that. I'll also say, Jotun, in the next panel, we're going to have our certificate program directors here, and they're going to be really instrumental in helping you understand how you can build these specific interests into the MSW program. So I'll ask either Dr. Haley or Dr. Hubbard to respond.
Yes. So thank you for your question. That's a good question to ask. So if you are looking to work directly with children and youth, adolescents, and families on a direct micro level, then the clinical specialization is where you want to be in your second year. And also too, depending on the setting that you would like to work in, we have some electives that will help support you in learning how to work in that setting. And also too, our pedagogy learning in social work is the practicum learning. So in combination with your practicum placement, that will also create your learning experience. Now, I will say on the clinical side of the house, clinical social workers do macro practice. And so some of the problems that individuals and families are struggling with that can cause issues like depression and anxiety are not always solely located in them. It can happen between them and communities, them and society that bring them into treatment. And so we do look, like Dr. Haley said, from that person and environment lens, right? And so that's one of the major things that social work brings to the table. Now, when you bring up Columbia and Michigan, you need to know there is a Rutgers difference. And so the faculty that you have, the approach that we bring to social work education, and the guidance and advisement that you'll get at Rutgers is the difference. And so even though you have the University of Michigan and you have Columbia, recognize Rutgers is a big contender. Dr. Haley?
Thank you, colleague. So I'm actually a U of M alum, undergrad, and actually the current dean of the School of Social Work at Michigan is our beloved former faculty member. So there's a lot of synchronicity there.
Yeah, that's
Rutgers,
exactly what they said. Thank you for that. Yeah.
yes, and Rutgers. Okay, what I'd say is a couple things. I mean, honestly, Dr. Hubbard covered it. Rutgers is a fantastic deal, tuition-wise. Can't beat that up against those. And a lot of schools of social work, in terms of child welfare, children and family issues, to be honest, they're fairly robustly comparable. And I mean, clearly those are that domain of practice is so important in social work. So I would be loath to critique any schools, certainly among that group, as being super better than the others. As you'll learn soon enough in the certificate program information you'll get next, like after this panel, the way we do this is we have these methodological specializations. A lot of schools of social work do that too. So we have the more micro level clinical practice one. We have the MAP, management and policy one. Those are about methods of practice. And then in addition to that, we pair that with options for certificates. And we have one that is robustly focused on child welfare, children and family type practice. And it's meant to be taken up by folks who are either macro or micro. It's not just for one or the other. So we flex, and so you have the chance to specialize methodologically, as well as then have this subgroup of students who are concerned like you are in getting training in that subject matter, but then you're flexibly doing different things with it. And as Dr. Hubbard really well put, your placements, and you're in this, we like Columbia are in this really amazing tri-state metro area with all kinds of incredible placements in an urban environment that is distinct from Ann Arbor. Although you have Detroit nearby, where you're going to be able to pair a pretty good placement 1 or 2 years worth with this training that you're going to get. So you're not going to go wrong. But I do think that there are some great assets to Rutgers in that.
Okay, just one other quick question, Doctor. The MAP program, since it's more macro, what would the practicum look like with agency or a government unit or a hospital? I mean, what would that look like?
The answer is yes, meaning like all of the above. In many cases, there are some placements where there are both clinical and MAP students placed there together. They simply are doing different tasks. Lots of different government agencies, legislative aid type situations, so public and private settings, some for-profits, but a range of different settings where it's the settings per se, there's a big overlap in them, but it's more what you're doing. And even then within the MAP concentration, you have some students that are somewhat straddling that micro-macro divide. And if you prefer to, like, for example, have somewhat clinical experience, perhaps a little bit of a caseload, but then pair that with more macro type tasks as well, you can do that. Or if you have a taste for, no, I really want policy, or I really want kind of organizational oversight, design, programming, you can then pursue that flavor too. So there's, it's like a dotted line. It's a continuum. It's not this like either or. There are ways to kind of blend and evolve your interests.
And that's exactly what I'd be interested in, is trying to divide the line, because employment will be key, right? I don't want to just do a policy thing working with the government and all of that. I want to work with patients as well. So how do I combine micro and macro for employment, either as a private practice or working with a big institution? So maybe we can talk about that later. Yep.
Yeah.
Completely. That's exactly what we're about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
that's just core to social work though.
Yeah.
Because you'll get a lot of that on both sides of the house, the micro and the macro house, that you'll get that because that's just one of the unique contributions that social workers bring to the table to have that expansive micro macro lens.
Right. And the both of you, does this happen in other programs like Columbia and U Michigan, or they don't focus on stuff like that? Would you know?
I can't speak specifically to their program, but I will tell you, I am a product of Rutgers. So
Okay,
I
got
got my MSW and my first doctorate, my DSW from Rutgers. And
okay.
so for me, I am a LCSW. And also, I have my own private practice, but I was also the president of NASW New Jersey chapter. And
Awesome.
so, in that role, I did a lot of macro kind of work and advocacy on behalf of social work in the communities and clients that we serve, and
All
the
right.
social workers supporting them. So,
Thank you.
Sure. And for what this is worth, what I'd say, I'm actually a former faculty member at University of Washington in Seattle, as well as University of Wisconsin-Madison. So two very highly rated schools of social work. I would put Rutgers MSW easily on par with those in terms of employability, in terms of training, and then everything else in between in terms of placement opportunities. I mean, the metro area definitely is great. And then our tuition deal is pretty amazing too. So
Yeah,
I
that's what
agree.
I was just going to point out. Joe, you certainly have done your research. You're looking at some great programs, but hey, you're in Piscataway. We're right here, and you will have in-state tuition, which is a real deal. And we haven't even got to the point in the program this morning where we're talking about specializations. We do. I'm a certificate program. Excuse me. We have a certificate program in children and youth, working with children and youth.
No,
So
absolutely. I'd like to listen to that. I
okay.
mean, look,
Good
Columbia
luck.
is like 130 grand. University of Michigan is a little cheaper at 84,000. It's a 1 year program, which is very attractive. But Rutgers, I think, will probably get me the best practicum training, I'm guessing, right? Because you have so many hospitals here. So I'm very interested. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really great questions and information provided there. Um, as we're waiting for perhaps some more hands to be raised, I do see questions coming in the chat box. I'm responding quickly to the short ones, but I think a couple of them have more to do with just being curious, I think, about the curriculum. I'm going to maybe ask Assistant Dean Hunter, would you mind just sort of sharing maybe some of the courses that students take in that generalist year, and then also some of the special electives that they can take in the advanced year?
I'd be happy to do that. Thank you, Laura. The courses that students take in the foundation generalist year are basic human behavior and in the social environment course, which those of you who maybe majored in psychology maybe would be familiar with some of the readings and ideas there. We have students take a diversity and oppression course, which is extremely important when you are in your practicum for all of the courses. We have students take a research level course. Methods in social research is also required. We have a course, clinical assessment and diagnosis, which is extremely important. And it's an intense course where you will learn about diagnosis, mental health diagnosis, so that you will be prepared, especially in your, if you're a clinical social work student in your second year practicum. But we do require that important course for all students, no matter what specialization you're in. We also have social welfare policy and services course, which is a basic history social welfare programs in the United States. It's a good foundation as well. And then the practice courses at the foundation level include practice with individuals, families, and groups. And that aligns more with what Dr. Hubbard was talking about, working on the micro level, working with individuals, small groups. And then Dr. Haley was talking more about the MAP specialization, working with within social work on an organizational and community level. You're going to take both of those courses in the first half of the program. And then while you're taking those courses, you'll also be in practicum, and you'll have a better idea by then. We're talking with your faculty, with your advisor, with the people at your practicum, professional social workers, and we will ask you to make a decision about specializations. And then as you go into the advanced part of the program, and I think that the two faculty have already described, there's practice courses along with the required practicum. It gives you a chance to focus either on MAP or clinical, and the electives that you're going to take in the advanced program vary so wildly, and everything from law and social work, which is available to everyone, to understanding addictive behaviors, a number of clinical social work advanced practice distribution courses, including working with children, mental health, school settings. We have courses, chronic illness and disability, gender, women, and intersectional social justice. We have courses that focus on violence and abuse in adulthood and both and childhood. Courses that focus on adolescence, understanding risk and resilience, social work with immigrants and refugees, a very important course, poverty, inequality, discrimination, and public policy. We also have a number of courses that focus on working with the Latino population, including Latinos, culture, community, and social welfare. I invite people who are interested to go to our website and click on the MSW academic programs, and there you will find a full list of our electives along with brief course descriptions for each.
Arlene, can I just add, you did such a great job. I wanted to mention the reflective practice seminar course that they take on the generous year too, where it's a 5-week course that you take that really creates a space for students to reflect with their peers on topics such as imposter syndrome, how do you navigate and negotiate supervision relationships, at your practicum placements, and just gives you this space to come together and to reflect on your practice and to cultivate the practice of how to reflect as a social work practitioner with the work that you're doing.
Laura, Sue, would it be okay if I address a couple of the questions about the dual degree programs in the chat?
Sure, absolutely.
I'll try to keep it brief. Yes, in the public health and criminal justice, all of the dual degree programs, with one exception, students may choose either clinical or MAP. So if you're in criminal justice, yes, you can specialize in clinical. That means that you would, again, would be working with clients and one-on-one or in small groups more so. Certainly, there are many, many opportunities for students in the dual degree criminal justice program to work on the macro level and would specialize in MAP. There are a number of agencies, policy work that you could do as a dual degree criminal justice MSW with MAP as well. The only exception where you don't have a choice in specializations if you choose the dual degree MSW and public policy, then you would automatically be in the MAP specialization because the focus is on policy and management. And there was one other question here about public health dual degree. Someone was wondering if that was yes, that would be very helpful for the individual who is interested focusing on decreasing youth substance use through education. Perfect. And oh, you already have a BS in public health. Yes, I think combining that undergrad degree in public health with an MSW and an MPH would get you exactly where you would want to be in a future position, employment. And that certainly is needed. And JD and MSW, oh my goodness, I really am excited about that joint degree program. Having a JD and combining that with an MSW, whether you choose clinical or MAP, really allows you to work in a broad variety of employment, but you would be able to advocate for people using your social work skills, but also your legal skills. So I really encourage people to, if you're interested at all, to explore that more. Thank you, Laura.
Sure. Thank you, Arlene. Maybe a relatively quick question, but this does come up certainly for a lot of students. So if maybe some of our panelists that can address licensure and how our curriculum supports gaining licensure. Particular question in New Jersey, but also looking at New York, any reciprocity with other states.
So with reciprocity with other states, you would have to really look at that particular state that you're looking for reciprocity in to know what their criteria is. I do know that we are in the process, and this depends on the individual states, but across the nation looking to create the social work impact agreement. And if that agreement goes through and the different states sign on, you won't need that reciprocity because that will already be established, depending on if the state that you're licensed in is participating in the social work impact agreement. Um, when it comes to licensure, so in the state of New Jersey, on the MAP side and the clinical side of the house, you will be able to take courses that will put you in a position to sit for the LSW. There are some courses on the clinical side of the house that equip you to be able to sit for the LCSW once you graduate. When it comes to the MAP side of the house, there are some courses that you can take when you're pursuing MAP that are clinical, but you, and please, Dr. Haley, chime in. From my understanding, you will not be able to take all of the courses that you will need, but you would be able to come back to be able to take courses. If I'm not saying that correctly, somebody come in to chime in, but that's my understanding.
I think it requires some intentional planning. But
Exactly.
I believe that it's possible. There was a change in the licensing board of years ago in terms of what courses were required or accepted that makes it a little more challenging. But
Well,
I
Hub
think
C
there
is
are.
no longer accepted.
Right.
And so, and we do offer the clinical diagnosis and assessment. So
Yes.
that's why on the clinical side of the house, you will be able to take all the courses, you will have all the courses required for you to sit for the LCSW.
Yeah.
But on the MAP side of the house, you will not have all of the courses required. But I do know that there are some electives that MAP folks can take on from the clinical side. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
And I was grabbing for my curriculum at a glance.
Yes.
MAP
Yeah.
students are able to take the fall several courses that will
Yeah.
count towards those 12 credits that
Yes.
the faculty are talking about. And those courses range from, again, clinical social work, adolescents and health,
Yeah.
children, school, aging, behavioral health with Latinos, and survivors of abuse and trauma. So if you join us and you want to go MAP, and that's great, but you're thinking down the road, maybe I would like to get that LCSW that Dr. Hubbard just explained, just talked about, and talk with your advisor. And you can make sure that your transcript is diverse enough so that you could still be a MAP specialist, but qualify to take the LCSW down the road if you so choose.
Yeah.
Good, because you could take the
Quite a good
electives.
number of MAP graduates do that. So
Mhm.
even now post, Hub Z not being counted.
Because I do know that and that's something that you said, Doctor, they have to be intentional, because if they're not
Yeah.
intentional
Yeah.
about it, then they can find themselves in that situation where after graduating, they might need to take additional courses. But hopefully, if they're intentional and know they want to do that, pursue the LC, then they can be in a better position and won't have to do that.
Yeah.
Can I just chime in really quick about one quick thing? If you are living in a state that is different than New Jersey or the surrounding areas, and you're someone who's interested in the online program, you just always want to reference the state's requirements because they could be different. We've got a lot of states, so it's difficult
That's
for
right.
us to keep track of everything, especially because they change at times. So if you want to know a specific thing and making sure that you're taking the allotted courses, you just want to reference that actual state's criteria. And I did paste in the chat that we have some sections of our website where you can go directly to that state's licensing board.
Good.
Thank you, Christine. So we've got a lot of questions coming in. Thank you to all of our panelists who I know are jumping in there and answering them as well, which is really helpful to get through all of these.
Yeah.
I think we
Laura, there's a question that's in there. I'm not sure. It says, would they still need to do hours to get their license? So in the state of New Jersey, there's still additional hours that you need to do when you're working towards your LCSW, the terminal license. And that's pretty much the case across states. But like Christine said, you need to go and look at that specific state's, the Board of Social Work Examiners from that state, their criteria.
Thank you. If I wanted to become a healthcare social worker, would it be better to pursue the clinical specialization?
Well, it depends if you're going to focus on policy and administration or if you're going to focus on working with individuals and families on a micro direct client basis. So it depends on what you want to do. That's the beauty about social work. There's so much diversity. You're not limited to being one thing or doing one thing with your social work degree. And we do have a lot of our students on the clinical side of the house that will be in the field for a few years and then move into supervision and administration. So
Yeah.
you're not limited to just working directly with clients.
And one thing to keep in mind, Dr. Hubbard, sorry, pardon me, Dr. Hubbard is exactly right. And the thing to keep in mind is you will come in to the initial part of your program. Certainly, advanced standing students have to kind of hit the ground running a bit more, but you'll come in and you'll get exposed to the initial training, the initial set of ideas and the foundation curriculum, and feel your way out.
Yes.
And then after that, you make your decision about how you want to specialize methodologically. But even after you make that decision, after training for a bit, in the LCSW, so the advanced clinical licensure down the road, that requires this intentionality we talked about, where you do need to make some very specific choices so that you expedite your eligibility to sit for that eventual exam, years out of graduation. Short of that, every graduate can sit for the LSW, the basic licensure. And there are also many social work type jobs that may not require licensure. And social work is beautiful, unlike the much more concentrated counseling, psychology degrees on the one hand, or policy on the other, where your training is broad and deep so that you can explore a range of career options as
Yes.
you graduate, right? It flexes with you in a really kind of neat way. So
Yeah.
there's that.
I love that, Dr. Helly, because I think as this with the social work degree, it grows with you.
Yeah.
Right. And the beautiful thing is that you find social workers just about in every industry that exists. And so our degree is really mobile and it just it's such a rich investment in yourself and what you want to do with the social work degree because they're just in just about every industry, entertainment, policy, criminal. It's amazing where you find we have social workers who are pastors. It's just amazing where you find social workers. And so that's something to just consider and think about.
Yeah.
And we have
And
social
you can
workers
craft it. I'm
in
sorry.
Congress too.
Yes, we do. Social
Yeah.
workers
We
in
do.
Congress.
And it's both, there's a certain amount of ability to craft your studies because of the
Yes.
combination of like electives, like your specialization choice, adding a certificate, the placements that you pursue, and then like the electives that you do, right? So all of that allows for some degree of crafting. And
Yes.
then as Dr. Hubbard just noted, once you graduate, because of that kind of what you've crafted, you also retain some flexibility as you evolve in
Yes.
your career. So both
That's right.
sides of that, really are adaptive for you.
And coming to Rutgers and and then graduating and become an alumni, we grow with you and support you because we have such a rich, diverse continuing education program, and so that you can come
Which
back,
Dr.
you can
Hubbard leads and has done amazing things with. Yeah.
and you can come, that's we have such a great staff there. And the course offerings are good that we offer in the continuing education. And so you can continue to grow and learn with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Helly. It's so much beautiful things you can do. So Rutgers is the right choice for you. I know you feel it.
Thank you so much. We did have a question quite a ways back that I wanted to jump back to. We just have a few more minutes left. And I thought it was a good one actually to have our students, Chanel and Madeline, address, which there was a question of what's the difference between campuses, between New Brunswick and Newark specifically. And actually, Madeline and Chanel are studying on those two campuses. And I'll just remind you of something I said earlier, which is the curriculum is the same across the campuses, across the formats, but that format does differ, how the practicum hours and how your curriculum is going to be parsed out. But I'll ask Chanel and Madeline if you wouldn't mind jumping in and just sharing a little bit about your experience on both campuses. And again, Madeline's an advanced standing student, Chanel's in the 60 credit program.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Chanel and I am at the New Brunswick campus. I'm in my first year and I also went to Rutgers for my undergrad. I was a BA in psychology too, so don't worry about that. We accept everyone with no matter what your BA was in. For me, I think because I already went to New Brunswick for my undergrad, I had no other choice but to come back. I just love the experience of being in a community that was almost like a family. And that's exactly what I feel like with social work as well. From the professors to the friends you make, to the classes, to the short community of people that you're going to meet, I think was one of the best decisions I've made, only being here for 2 months already. For my classes, as Dean Arlene has said, are more tailored to whether you want to do clinical or whether you want to do MAP. So right now, I'm currently taking 5 courses, which is HEPC, which was the Human Behavior and Social Environment. Then there's Diversity and Oppression. There's practice with communities and organizations, which is for MAP. There's individuals and families, which is more clinical. So you kind of get a taste of the best of both worlds. So I think that was one thing that I kind of liked as well. Madeline, if you want to chime in for the North.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Madeline. I am also a Rutgers alum. I completed my BSW at the Rutgers Newark campus. So I would say I'm a little biased on my campus. Size-wise, I like it. It's a medium-sized campus compared to our other, like New Brunswick is our largest campus and Camden's are smaller. So for me, Newark is like the right size. You don't have to travel too far for your classes. Like you could get to your classes within 5-minute walk. Everything is really close. Resources are very exposed to you, like you know where to go and where to find everything, which is personally I love. I was also a student ambassador in my undergraduate program, so like Rutgers Newark campus, I know it like the back of my hand. I can tell you where everything is. It's just very easy to get familiarized with the campus, and everyone is very friendly. The diversity on campus, which you'll see in all of our campuses. But I would say if you want like a more medium size where you don't want too much, like some people get overstimulated, some people just like that right in the middle. So I would say Rutgers Newark would be like your sweet spot if you're in the middle. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you both so much. Really helpful. We have come to the end of our panel discussion, but this is not the end of questions for our faculty specialists here. You do have the option right now to stay in this main room and take a break, or if you have further questions, we invite you to join the breakout rooms for a more focused discussion. So you do have some options down there to join the breakout rooms down at the bottom there. Please note that in 10 minutes, we will continue our open house program right here in the main room. But right now, if you'd like to join a breakout room, click the button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you don't see an option for breakout rooms, click the 3 dots with more, and it should be in that drop-down list. Find the breakout room that you're interested in and just click join. And when you want to return back to us in the main room, go to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and you can again click the button that says leave the breakout room. So I'll ask all of our panelists to move over to the respective breakout rooms right now. Students with additional questions, go ahead and join the room. And if you're having any trouble, just message Zach and state which room you want to move into and we'll assist you. But for those of you staying here, we will be back at 11:09 approximately. So we'll see you shortly.
Laura, do you want me to go to the traditional program dual degrees and PCC?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just want to make sure everyone found their breakout room for the MSW program formats. Again, there's a little icon at the bottom to the right of your screen that says breakout rooms. And if you click on that, you should see your options. I see some of our faculty joining us for the next part of our presentation. So welcome to all of you. We'll be back in here at 11:09 to get started on our certificates and global programs section.
Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. Good morning. I do think we have quite a few people still in the break rooms, so hopefully they'll join us very shortly. But for those of you that are here, welcome back. My name is Jonathan Molina, and I am one of the admissions counselors for Rutgers School of Social Work. And one of the unique aspects of earning your MSW at Rutgers are the many different ways you can tailor your degree program. In addition to our specializations in clinical social work and management policy, you can create a personalized area of emphasis focusing on topics such as social policy, global social work, children, youth, and families, mental and behavioral health, just to name a few. You can also choose an embedded MSW certificate or take part in our global programs. We will now be playing a video with information about our optional certificate and global programs, which will be followed by a faculty panel to address your questions about these optional programs.
Hi, my name is Ryan DeBeglio, and I'm a teaching instructor at the Rutgers School of Social Work. I also coordinate the Addiction Counselor Training, or ACT certificate program, along with the director, Dr. Leah Nauer. Our program focuses on all those things that can start off fun, but turn deadly: drugs, alcohol, sex, eating, and gambling, among other things. If you apply for and are accepted into the ACT certificate, you will get a wealth of training in many different areas, from pharmacology to clinical treatment, in 6 courses that are devoted to the study of addictions. You will also be placed in a field agency where you can get hands-on experience working with clients with substance use disorders and begin to accrue your experiential hours towards being a licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor, LCADC. Actually, if you complete the ACT certificate program, you'll be on your way towards obtaining 3 different credentials when you graduate. In addition to all the coursework for your social work and LCADC licenses, you will also have obtained all of the educational hours needed for your International Gambling Counselor certificate. We are the first school in the country to offer this accredited gambling training, And if you work for a state agency in New Jersey, you would actually be able to treat individuals with problem gambling immediately upon graduation, even before you are licensed. We're very proud of this program and the students who have completed it. Individuals who complete the ACT certificate have a wide range of clinical skills and are fully prepared for employment in the addictions treatment field. We are very hopeful that you would want to join the ACT program to prepare yourself for a career to address these important issues facing many individuals and families. We are eager to meet you soon.
Hello, my name is Dr. Lauren Snedeker, and I am an assistant professor at the School of Social Work here at Rutgers. I also am the coordinator for the Certificate in Aging and Health program. The Aging and Health Certificate program provides graduate level social work students the opportunity to focus their learning inside and outside of the classroom on practice with older adults and practice with adults living with acute or chronic health issues. The Aging and Health Certificate program accepts students that wish to focus their work on micro-direct practice, which translates to providing counseling to individuals, families, and groups. The program also accepts students that wish to focus their social work practice on a meso and macro level, which translates to working on programs and policies that impact older members of society, as well as those living with disabilities and other complex health statuses. The Aging and Health Certificate is one of the longest running certificate programs here at the MSW. Through courses like Social Work Across the Lifespan and Advanced Contemporary Policy in Aging, this program prepares students to respond to the ever-changing needs of aging society members. By now, you might be thinking, why aging and why health? What might a social worker do in these areas of practice? Social workers can help older adults with caregiving experiences, navigating life transitions, and with addressing traumas that might resurface across the lifespan. They work on interdisciplinary teams and create plans of care with their clients in a variety of healthcare settings. Social workers realize the need for change in policies that affect how we age and how we access healthcare. And through this certificate, students can become leaders in advocating for new programs that are affirming and inclusive. The Aging and Health Certificate program also provides students the opportunity to apply to the Taub Fellowship in Aging, which is a unique offering embedded in the certificate that helps students develop what we call a leadership project and provide the opportunity for compensation. I hope that you consider the Aging and Health Certificate program today, and I'm excited to connect with you in the future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Margaret O'Donoghue, and I'm the coordinator of the Child and Adolescent Wellbeing Certificate in Rutgers MSW program. Together with Dr. Emily Bott, who is director of the program, we are responsible for the largest certificate in Rutgers School of Social Work. In considering CHAP as your certificate, you will have the opportunity to develop expertise in all areas related to children, teens, and our families. You will receive a specialized placement in an area that is of particular interest to you. That could be school social work, inpatient, outpatient mental health, LGBTQ related agencies, policy advocacy, since the certificate is open to both MAP and clinical students. You will also concentrate in your curriculum on classes that are related to children and teens. And these are not additional courses beyond your regular MSW program, but they do allow you to maintain your passion in an area of your choice. And this also is a certificate which enables you to network and build relationship with professionals and colleagues who are passionate about this work. You will also have the opportunity to apply for a scholarship known as Ruby, which is a HRSA-funded opportunity to gain a stipend, a generous stipend, and have a interdisciplinary work with nursing interns and rehabilitation counselor interns. We really hope you consider this certificate. I hope we see you soon.
Hello, my name is Rupa Khetrapal, and I'm an associate professor of teaching at the School of Social Work and the coordinator for the Certificate on Interpersonal Violence and Trauma, or CIVT as we call it. We have been offering the specialized education since 2008, over 15 years, and what began with 18 students now has over 600 certificate graduates practicing all over the country. The certificate was the first in the country offering the specialization in interpersonal violence and trauma to MSW students and is an award-winning program. The certificate is offered to clinical students and management and policy students in the traditional, blended, and fully online programs. Students take coursework that is embedded within their MSW program. There is no extra courses, there is no extra money or time invested in the certificate. The certificate requires a practicum, which is offered in agencies that include working with children, adolescents, young adults, the elderly, and adults. In settings such as hospitals, schools, community-based mental health agencies, domestic violence shelters, and sexual violence service providers. You also have students in correctional facilities, as well as policy and public-based organizations. Over the last 15 years, we have successfully created a community of social workers specialized in trauma work. We have certificate alumni who mentor and supervise our current students, and we offer competitive scholarships as well. The certificate in trauma specialization elevates the job market value for our students and helps leverage their potential in their future careers. So please reach out to us if you have any questions, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
My name is Elsa Candelario. I'm a professor of professional practice and the director of the LISTA certificate program, which stands for Latino Initiatives for Service, Training, and Assessment. Through courses like Social Work with Latinos, Behavioral Health with Latinos, Spanish for Social Workers, and Study Abroad opportunities to Puerto Rico and Mexico, our certificate students will learn how to work in a culturally aware and responsive manner with Latino families, children, and communities, a growing and underserved population that numbers roughly 20% nationally and even more regionally. The MSW programs that can enroll in this certificate include the full and part-time traditional on-campus programs, as well as the blended and online programs. Our alumni are in demand in governmental and social services agencies because the need for professional social workers trained in culturally relevant approaches has never been higher. You see, at a micro level, there is a severe shortage of direct service practitioners for Latino individuals and families. And also from a macro perspective, our students understand how to enhance programs, policies, and practices to promote equity and inclusivity. These competencies are desirable to organizations that seek solutions to serve the growing and underserved population. In addition, we offer several scholarships and field stipends to LISTA students. There are many components of LISTA of which I'm proud, including its rich course offerings and immersion learning experiences. But I'll point to one unique optional program called LISTA Links Mentoring. It supports students by pairing them with alumni for a one-on-one mentoring relationship that guides the students' professional development and network. I hope you'll join us at our interest meeting and feel free to reach out with any questions that you have.
Welcome to the Office of Global Social Work Programs, where we are promoting global citizenship and professional action for a better world through global and local initiatives. I'm Rebecca Davis, Director. I will review our global program opportunities both at home and abroad. So first, we have two courses offered in the online format and in person. And so this is Global Social Work and Social Development and Social Work with Immigrants and Refugees. We also offer 5 credit-bearing programs abroad. So we have 2 winter session programs that are 3 credit electives. First is Mexico, Empowerment Through Community Engagement, and this is located in Mérida in the Yucatan. and is the first 2 weeks in January. India, also the first 2 weeks in January, is social welfare, healthcare delivery, and community engagement. And that is located in Calcutta and will begin in January of 25. Our spring program is part of a hybrid course that includes a 10-day excursion to the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico. And this course focuses on compounding disasters and community resilience. We have 2 summer programs which provide 3 field credit hours. So students are placed in different community service programs. In Romania, it is mid-May to mid-June, where students live and work in Cluj, which is located in Transylvania. Our program in Taiwan focuses on meditation and social work. It is a 2-week program in late May, early June, and it is a 3-credit social work elective. Thank you very much. For any other information, please reach out to global.rutgers.edu, study abroad. Thank you.
Wonderful. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and transition to our second panel discussion. This Q&A is going to focus on our embedded certificate programs and global options, which you just got a great overview of. And I want to introduce you to our faculty directors panel, which includes Ryan DiMeglio, who is the co-director of the Addiction Counselor Training Program, Dr. Lauren Snedeker, who's the director, director of the Aging and Health Certificate, Professor Rupa Kedarpal, Director of the Certificate on Interpersonal Violence and Trauma, and Dr. Margaret O'Donoghue, who's the Director of the Promoting Child and Adolescent Wellbeing Certificate. And we also have Dr. Elsa Candelario, Director of the LISTA Certificate, or Latinx Initiatives for Service, Training, and Assessment. So at this time, I'm going to again ask you, you can feel free to raise your hand, let us know you have a question. You can also type into the chat box if you're not comfortable or have any kind of audio issues, but we do encourage you to ask your question live because we love to interact with you. So raise your hand if you can, and I'll call on you to unmute and ask your question, and we'll go ahead and get started. Let's see. Now I see a few people already very interested in the certificate in interpersonal violence and trauma. Thank you everyone for starting to put your contact information in there as well. And just to remind you, as we mentioned earlier, a specialization is you do have to choose a specialization, so clinical or management and policy. Our certificates are optional, but they're a really amazing way to build in your particular interests, to have a practicum experience that is very unique to your particular career focus. So let's see. And if we don't have anyone brave enough to kind of pop their hands up, maybe we will just have our directors share a little bit about each of their programs. Silvana has a question here. Do you receive the certificates as you work on the master's or afterwards? These are embedded certificate programs. So really another really nice thing is that you're not doing any additional coursework. There is an additional 3 credits for the ACT certificate, but these are embedded in your program. So no additional cost for you either. I'll tell you what, since I don't see any hands just yet, let me make sure I'm not missing those. Let me go ahead and I'll just ask each of our directors to maybe unmute for a minute or two and tell us a few of the highlights. What the questions that we get in admissions quite a bit are, where can I do my practicum for this certificate? Or what would be 1 or 2 of the courses that I would be taking? And certainly if there's any scholarships or fellowships available, I think our attendees would be interested as well. Ryan, I see you first. Would you mind sharing a little bit?
Sure. I'm Ryan DeMeglio. I'm the co-director of the Addiction Counselor Training Certificate Program. So just one other question that I think comes up a lot is that students can only do one certificate. So I know that is a question that comes up in these forums a lot of times. So just to kind of address that. Um, in addition to some of the stuff in the intro video, I think some of the things that are unique about ACT or that you can apply to the ACT certificate in coming into your first year at Rutgers. So you can be in the certificate for your first year or your second year, or both years. You can also complete ACT as a postgraduate student, so there's some flexibility and options there. But I think the thing that is really unique and appealing about ACT is that in addition to getting your MSW degree, you're also getting all the education hours towards your LCADC and your gambling counseling certification, which prepares you for kind of employment in this area very quickly upon graduation. At this point, we don't have any specific scholarship opportunities. However, with substance use disorder treatment, a lot of times students are offered employment-based opportunities. So there is that option that tends to be happen pretty often with students in the ACT program. And I think I'll pass it along to someone else now. Lauren seems like she's ready to go, so I'll pass it along to Lauren.
Thank you, Ryan. It looks like actually Jay has a question. Maybe if you want to come off mute. I just saw a hand go up. Yeah.
Good morning. Yes,
Morning.
actually, a quick question for Ryan before he completely finishes. So for the ACT program, you just when you're already in your MSW, you just apply within like that, or it's like a specific course that you take to start the ACT program, or like how would that direct admission work?
So our first ACT course, Understanding Addictive Behavior, is actually open to anyone. It's not specifically just for ACT students. So you don't need to take any prerequisites prior to applying to ACT, for ACT specifically to apply. You can apply going into your the start of your first year, or you could apply over usually in the fall, winter, going into your second year for ACT. And the way the coursework kind of pans out, it doesn't matter if you take that course before you apply to ACT or after applying to ACT. They sequence so that you can do it either way.
Okay, perfect. So you wouldn't apply for ACT as you're applying for your MSW. You would apply for it when you're in the program?
So I'm gonna defer to Laura on this. I think maybe you would, if you wanted to be in it for your first year, you would apply as you're coming into the program. We do get applications from new incoming students.
Yeah, sorry, I was just responding to a question, so I missed that. Are we asking about timing of applying?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I was just typing into the chat box. People were, there was a question in terms of, can I apply to any of the certificates? The short answer is yes. As a 60 credit or full MSW student, you're going to apply into the MSW, get into the program, and then it's during that first year that you're actually going to get a lot more information about these certificate programs and kind of how they fit into your specialized curriculum. And then I believe you'll be applying, again, depending on whether you're in a part-time program or a full-time program. It's typically towards the end of your generalist curriculum. If you're an advanced standing student, meaning you're applying into your advanced standing MSW, getting admitted, you're almost immediately going to start choosing your certificate program and starting the application process. And again, that's depending on whether you're in a part-time, a 2-year, a 3-year, a 4-year program. But I promise you, as soon as you get admitted and you actually confirm you're going to enroll with us, we'll start giving you information and certainly start working closely with your academic advisor on what your interests are and the particular certificate you want to apply to.
Thank you so much, both of you guys. I appreciate it.
I see Jotun has a question. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody else. Jotun, you're welcome to go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, hi, thank you. So look, I'm very interested in 3 different certificates, especially global programs. I'll reach out to Dr. Davis because they have something in India and I'm originally from India. so I can spend time there. But I'm also interested in the child and adolescent and the violence and trauma. Now, how do I do multiple certificates with clinical/MAP if I want to do that? I'm very confused. I don't want to do just one. Can you help me?
I hope you apply, Jyotin. I really can't wait to meet you. Oh, you're gonna love it here. The trip to India
What's
is
your
not
name, ma'am,
related.
so I can email you as well?
You can email me as well. The trip to India, the global programs, and Dr. Davis is on the screen now.
What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Arlene Hunter, and I'm Assistant Dean for Student Affairs. But I see that everyone that you need to hear from is on the screen.
Yeah, just put your
I
email
do
in the
hope you
chat as
apply.
well. I'll email you too. Thank you.
Okay.
I can speak about global programs. To solve one problem, global programs is not a certificate program. So that would solve that one dilemma. You can get an area of emphasis in global programs, but that's something that you work with your advisor on. And but global programs is integrated into the other programs, so they do count to the certificate programs if you get permission, if that course or the global program will fit with your certificate. The Romania program in the summer, which is a field placement, does fit with the certificate programs.
All right, thank you, ma'am. And for example, if I want to do a global program in India, will that count towards the practicum hours as well, or not really? How will that work?
That's a 3-credit elective.
Okay.
It's not a field placement.
Okay,
But
got it. Okay, got
Dr. Kirkapal is on the call. She can respond. She leads that program.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Jyotin, nice to meet you. Thank you for your questions.
Yep.
So just to answer, follow up on what Dr. Davis was saying, you can get an area of emphasis in the global program, but you can also do one certificate. You cannot do more than one certificate. So I hear that you're interested in multiple, but the focus of the MSW program is to really specialize in one area, which doesn't mean you can't take on coursework from other areas. Quite a few of these certificates have overlapping courses. So the coursework can definitely be worked out. If you were to apply to the certificate on interpersonal violence and trauma, you could do the study abroad to India, and that would count as an elective, a 3-credit elective. So those two are taken care of. Yeah, I mean, I think this definitely, I'm happy to speak more with you about the program, both the certificate as well as the study abroad in Kolkata.
Yeah, what's your name, ma'am?
My name is Rupa Khetrapal. And
okay, I have your email, Rupal.
Yes.
So I'll send you an email. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you lead the violence and trauma,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
Because I have a lot of experience in that. So let's talk privately. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I did just want to address, there was a question because I did note that the certificates can be a little bit specific to the MSW format that you choose. The intensive weekend program is the only format that doesn't offer a certificate, but you can build in some of these interests. And I would really encourage you to reach out to, we just had Dr. Jack Lewis and Amy Strickler here to talk to them about how you can, build your practicum in some of your specialized coursework to, again, focus on what your particular interests are, because there is coursework involved in these certificate programs that is offered to intensive weekend students. So it's absolutely possible, even though you're not going to apply to a specific certificate. I think we're covering most of these, so maybe we could jump back and just ask, and sorry, I'm not sure where we left off, whether Dr. O'Donoghue or Dr. Candelario, if you...
about whether they're offered in the online program, which certificates are offered in the online program.
Yes, I did respond to that up there, but in the 100% online program, you can apply to LISTA, Aging and Health, or Interpersonal Violence and Trauma. Thank you.
Oh, also CHAP is now taking online students.
Wonderful.
Yes.
A new development.
Yes, a wonderful
Newer.
development.
A
Yes,
new
hot off the
wonderful
presses.
development, hot off the
Absolutely.
presses. And yes, we love dual degree students, so please apply.
I think we responded to a few of these. We've got a couple of additional minutes if we have any other questions, or as I said, we can just share a little bit more about the programs.
I have a question if that's okay.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Christina Naha. I was just at the in-person MSW session, so hi to Jonathan and Chanel again. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate all the info. I'm highly interested in studying abroad, and I wanted to know more about the different global programs and what that looks like as far as are you doing the course on campus and then you go away for a trip, or for the practicum one in Romania, is there a course that goes with that? And would that be a third practicum for me if I were to do the two that are embedded into the curriculum and then take this trip as well?
You can also email me and I can discuss. So the Dr. Candelario is on also. So the answer to your question is they're different formats. So there is a spring trip to Puerto Rico that is attached to a course. The others are standalone programs. They're courses, but they're standalone. And the winter programs are before school starts, and then you've got the summer programs. The study abroad program, the one in Romania, that is a field placement, a practicum learning placement, that would count for one of your field, usually it's field 1 or field 3. But that would count as one of your field placements. So it would not be an extra one.
Thank you. Is
And
there
the
someone I
embedded-
can go for further literature to read up on more details on these offerings?
Yes, in our website, I'll put it's in our website, and the links to they're all run through our study abroad office. And on the study abroad websites, there are links there. The course outlines are there, so you can look at the cost, some of the information, the detailed information as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it
so
is on our
much.
website, but I'll put that link in there.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Okay, so that was very quick. We've arrived actually at the end of our panel discussion, and it's time for a 10-minute break. However, again, our faculty are going to be moving into breakout rooms. So I know many of you have additional questions, so I encourage you to join them in their respective breakout rooms. Panelists, you can go ahead and head over to the breakout rooms now. There's a button down in the right-hand corner there. Students with additional questions can also go ahead and join them. If you're having any trouble navigating to the breakout rooms, again, just message Zach stating which room you would like to get to, and we'll move you. And for those of you staying here in the main room, our break will end and we'll return to this main program at 11:51. So you have about 10 minutes. Thanks again. All right, looks like we are just all moving back. Wonderful. I see our featured speaker here as well. So welcome back, everyone. I see as you're jumping back out of, we still actually have quite a few people in the breakout rooms. But we're going to go ahead and keep moving forward because we will have plenty of time at the end for questions. So the remainder of our program is going to focus on practicum learning and applying to the MSW program, which we're already getting a lot of questions about both. So I am right now going to go ahead and hand the floor over to Mark Lamar, who is our associate professor and the executive director of practicum learning. Mark?
Yes, good morning. Wonderful to see everybody, and what a great orientation and open house this has been. First, I just want to say thank you to the all of you prospective students coming who are thinking social work is a good idea. It is. I hope we see you, and we're looking forward to having you with us. We're enthusiastic practitioners and academic teachers at the School of Social Work. Well, I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes about a part of your social work education that to me is really the heart and soul of social work education and training. And it really will set a good course for you, get you off to a good start as you move towards your own professional practice. And that really is your practicum learning placement. And that's really an internship. And there's been some references to that today, mentioning the certificate program, some study abroad opportunities, all wonderful stuff. What in particular we want to speak about is the practicum learning experience in the School of Social Work and in social work itself, which is really where students, while they're in classes, learning theories, learning about social work history, learning about social work practice from a theoretical standpoint, in practicum, we actually get you going. We get you into a hospital, a school, a shelter, might be a legal environment, might be a charitable operation. It might be a management policy setting, a clinical setting. We get you into basically an organization, nonprofit, for-profit, or public, where you will work alongside as an intern people who are currently in the field, and you'll learn from them, and you'll contribute your own skills, you'll develop your skills, and you'll become really familiar with what it means to be in social work. Now, I know some of you are working in the field in related professions, and that's wonderful. And I think in a social work setting, you'll get a clearer and clearer picture of what social work practicum and then the field itself looks like. So let's talk about the learning requirements, and we have some FAQs and some types of placements. We're going to have you in your internships if you're an advanced standing student, you're going to be doing 675 hours in settings over 2 semesters. So that'll have you about 3 days a week at an organization alongside the staff and the professionals and the clients and the mission of whichever agency you're placed in. And then if you're in the full-time MSW curriculum, you'll be doing 1,125 hours over the 2 years that you're in the program if you're full-time. So you'll be in 4 semesters to do that and 2 semesters to do the 675. The requirements are that we find out about your interests, we find about where you live, and put those features and factors together. We have a considerable database of really wonderful organizations that we will then match you with. And I happen to be blessed to work with a terrific team of professional social workers, teachers, and staff who are really good at this job. They are expert at understanding a student's interest in the kinds of experiences they hope to have, and then finding a setting that will really sync up with that and get the student off to a great start. So that's the beginning of it. Let's move to the next slide. Thank you. So questions come up during the process, and these are really good questions, and we've sort of brought them down into a few focused ones. First question that students often will say is, do I have to find my own practicum placement? And the good news is no, and in fact, we will lead with helping you find it and providing you with the resources, which are more than ample at the school. We have a great deal of information about location, kinds of opportunities, kinds of learning, and all the rest, and really where the agencies are located, how far they are from where you live, and those kinds of questions. So we will work with you closely on all of this. And you'll immediately, after you've completed what's called the planning form, you'll immediately be contacted by one of my colleagues who will begin that discussion with you. So we'll help find an appropriate placement for you. If you have a good idea and it happens to be an agency and organization that we're not familiar with, and I will say we'd be glad to look into it if it's can be created into a placement, if it can be developed into an affiliation with Rutgers. So we take ideas and certainly explore those, but we have a lot of good ideas to share with you already. A question that come up from students often, and we understand this because we appreciate that folks are busy, you have personal lives, many of you are employed. And so often the question is, can I do my practicum in the evening or on the weekend? And our careful answer about that is that it's possible to an extent. We really don't want people feeling that they are entirely able to do their practicum all of these hours fully at night or on the weekend. It simply isn't possible to say that. So we're really cautious about overpromising that. However, we are really looking for you to have availability during what we consider sort of typical business hours. Yep, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. We really want to stress that, frankly, that is when most human services, healthcare, education is provided. So we really do not want to emphasize a lot of evening or a lot of weekend work, but we will have that discussion. And what usually comes up, and this was actually true in my own experience as a clinician when I was training at a child guidance center, we worked several days a week, and then there were nights that the clinic was open, so we'd be able to put in some time that way. But typically, it won't be, the majority cannot be weekends and nights, but we'll work with you on that. Can I do my practicum at my place of employment? This is a great question, and the good news is that our Council on Social Work Education encourages, if possible, schools of social work to help students find and develop internships at jobs that are social work and social service related. And the purpose, obviously, is that students may be working a lot, they may be earning income that they need in settings that are already social work related. So if we are able to, at your job, if you're working in child protective services, if you're working in a clinic, if you're working in a school, if we are able to carve out and really define an internship at your current place of employment, we will do everything we can to do that. We endorse the concept a great deal because we know it's difficult to work, to be employed, and then to start stacking hours in a separate effort in the kinds of numbers of hours that students need to do. So if we are able to combine it and truly create an internship at a place of employment, that is a process. We're enthusiastic about trying to do that. So it's a great question, but we really have to make sure that it fits. And we'll work with you on exploring that and hopefully making that happen. Great questions, though. Other slide, if we've still got a little bit more, I'm not sure where we are. We might be at the end of the. Okay, good. Okay, great. Where can I complete my placement? The generalist placement refers to the first year. That's really when you start out. If you're in the 2-year program, that's the beginning, and you're going to be in a setting that will affiliate you with the tasks of social work. You could be in a school, you could be in a healthcare setting, you could be in an agency, a shelter, and what you'll be doing is really getting the feel for what does the profession, what do people in casework settings do? What do people in social work settings do? And what are the engagements? How do they begin to engage and assess client need at all levels? You theoretically, you could be in the Promise Clinic in New Brunswick, working alongside pharmacy and medical school students an evening a week for clients from the community who are coming. You may be working in a hospital setting. You might be working in a school setting. Now, the advanced placement sort of heats it up a little bit, and it's in a good way. And this is where your client contact and your direct service and your deeper involvement in either clinical specialization, which is what most students tend to go that direction, or management and policy specialization. This is where the focus gets more acute. And where you've been in your placements for, say, 2 days a week in your first year, your advanced year, you'll be in a placement for the equivalent of 3 days a week. And when you're in an advanced placement, this is where you'll begin to do a further version of some of the hands-on work You will have seen clients in your generalist year, but now you'll be even getting more involved in the clinical aspects. You'll be getting more involved in the outcome aspects, potentially some of the research aspects. So your engagement is both more in terms of time and in terms of focus. You may find yourself in hospital settings, clinics, you may be in a practice setting, you may be in a mental health center, community agencies, and the like. So many organizations host both kinds of students, but the tasks tend to be more intensive for the advanced placement, as we might expect. Next slide, please. I think we're there. Okay, but I'm here for questions, and I am so happy to have the opportunity to speak with you and respond to you and meet you. It's great to see everybody.
Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate you taking the time to present that material for us. And now we'll look to move over to our deadlines and how to apply the application process. So to begin, I'll introduce myself. My name is Larry Lester, and I'm an Assistant Director of Admissions and Recruitment here with the School of Social Work. And so far today, we've given you quite a bit of information on our programs and a lot of information, different ways to customize the education, the degree. And now I'd like to, as mentioned, provide you with some information on applying and financing the MSW degree at Rutgers. So our first slide in this section here, who qualifies? Well, first, you'll need to have a bachelor's degree from an accredited undergraduate institution. If you are applying to the advanced standing MSW, you specifically will need a BSW or a BASW from a CSW accredited institution. We suggest a minimum 3.0 GPA, and that's because you are required to maintain a 3.0 while in the MSW program. However, if you find that your GPA falls below that 3.0 marker, we ask do not self-select out. We will still consider your application. What you'll want to do is address the lower GPA as part of your personal statement and ensure that you submit strong supporting documentation that suggests your readiness for graduate level coursework. Please also note that your social work experience is not going to be required. However, if you do have related experience, whether it's a job, volunteering, an internship, please feel free to highlight these experiences there on your resume. As you can imagine, they will be beneficial to you. Also, individuals who are applying to the program with advanced standing, you will need to have a basic statistics course completed prior to beginning the degree. For all other applicants, you have the opportunity to complete your statistics course either the semester before you start or within the first semester of your MSW. Statistics does need to be taken prior to completing the research course in our program. And now on to our application requirement information. First is going to be the official transcripts. So we require all official transcripts from any previous schools that you've attended. So for example, if you are an individual who started out at a community college and then transitioned into a four-year institution, you are going to be required to provide transcripts from both of those schools, both the community college and that four-year institution. Additionally, you will be required to submit a personal statement. And there are going to be specific questions on our website, as well as in the application portal that you'll be prompted to answer as you move through the application process. Of course, the personal statement is an important piece to show your writing abilities, but it is also important for the admissions committee to see how you critically analyze and answer the questions that you're prompted and guided to answer. So we ask that you make sure you are answering these prompts in full detail. Not doing so will certainly hurt the strength of your application. We also require that you submit two personal, actually professional, we ask no personal letters. So we're going to ask that you require or submit two professional letters of recommendation. As I just mentioned, these are not going to be character references. So we ask that they not come from personal sources. The letters should not come from family members or friends. You want to make sure that your letters are going to be coming from directors, supervisors, managers, professors, academic advisors, people who can ultimately speak to your academic abilities, your professionalism, your interpersonal skills, and certainly your leadership qualities, all things that strengthen your application. And finally, you will submit a resume. Here, you want to make sure it's up to date and that it includes any volunteer or working experience closely related to the field. If there are any large gaps in your resume, you may want to address these in your personal statement so that we have a full picture of who you are as an applicant and also a full picture of the experiences that you've gained. And our advanced standing applicants, you will need to supply your undergraduate practicum evaluation. If you're a student who is applying and is currently in school, the mid-year evaluation is going to be acceptable. So you'll most likely have the evaluation just leading up to the end of your December, that fall semester. And that's going to be acceptable when applying for a term, giving us opportunity to see how you've performed with that practicum work. And I'll highlight here that the evaluation form does not come directly from us or from the application portal. It is going to be a guide that is given to you, a grading scale given to you from your home institution, showing how you've performed in your practicum experience, generally on a scale of 1 to 5. There may be a different a scale used at your institution, but nonetheless, it's showing how you've performed in that practicum experience. So be sure to supply that evaluation form. And lastly here, we ask that you do supply a $70 application fee. So now on to the application process. Where would you go to submit your application? The graduate application is online and can be found at go.rutgers.edu/MSW apply. On this website, you'll have the opportunity to also supply your supporting materials and requirements. So all of your supporting materials can be uploaded directly into your application there on this portal. There will also be a section there that will ask you for your recommender's name, their titles, their email addresses as well. Once you've had an opportunity to press save and continue on the recommendations page, those recommenders will automatically receive an email which directly links them to upload or type out or copy and paste even into a chat box their letter of recommendation for you. And then once they hit submit, that letter of recommendation attaches directly into your application for us to review. Your transcripts and your resume can also be submitted electronically. However, if you do find that you're in need to supply these materials by mail, the Piscataway address is listed here for us on the screen. It's also provided in the application portal. And this is the proper address, regardless of what your intended campus or program format is, regardless of what area or focus of study you're pursuing. If you're going to be mailing your documents, any supporting materials, they all will come to this address. So for example, if you're a Camden student or a Newark student, either way, potentially that's your campus, you still submit your documentation to this particular address here on the screen. And if for some reason you or your recommenders are having any issues uploading documents, you can certainly email them directly to us. We are more than happy to assist you and get those documents into the application portal for you. So next are our 2025 deadlines for all of our MSW programs. You'll note that most of our summer and fall start programs have a priority deadline of February 15th. For our 100% online MSW, you will notice that there are different deadlines for the 2-year and 3-year options. The reason for this is because practicum starts right away in our 2-year program, and we want to ensure adequate time for practicum planning and placement. If you're interested in a 2-year program, you must submit and complete your application by the priority deadlines. Please note that all of these deadlines can be found on our website, which I listed earlier, and that's again mswadmissions.rutgers.edu is an additional resource for that. Now, shown here are our 2024 and 2025 tuition rates. You may have noticed that the traditional blended and intensive weekend programs follow the same tuition structure, offering a New Jersey resident rate as well as a non-New Jersey resident rate, whereas our 100% online program has the same tuition rate regardless of whether you are a New Jersey resident or residing out of state. Total cost for the MSW varies depending on the format selected. For example, New Jersey residents enrolling in the 2-year full-time traditional program will pay approximately $46,000 for the entire degree. The full-time on-campus advanced standing MSW degree is approximately $32,000 for the entire program for our New Jersey residents. And the rates that are listed here can also be found on our website. There's also a great cost estimator that can be used to determine approximate MSW cost per semester. And next here is going to be our financial aid information. So MSW students are eligible for financial aid. Sure, that's a great welcome. We recommend that applicants fill out their FAFSA at the same time they are filling out their application to our school. You can go to fafsa.ed.gov, and our student code is listed here on the site, on the page, as well as on our website. It's also noted that financial aid can be a complex step. So if you do have any questions, we ask that you go straight to the experts. The website listed here, studentabc.rutgers.edu, not only houses that cost estimator that I mentioned earlier, but it also has their contact information for you to be able to speak with them directly as it pertains to financial aid and the questions in that particular arena. We do also offer scholarships and fellowships. Once you apply, you will automatically be considered for a merit-based scholarship. There's no additional application needed on your part to be considered. These scholarships are going to be scholarships that are intended to help you cover the cost of tuition, not covering the full range of tuition. Typically, these scholarships are going to range somewhere in the area of $6,000 to $10,000 for the entirety of your degree. There are, however, more need-based scholarships. We do also offer the need-based scholarship as well. And there are more need-based scholarships that are being offered per year. Typically on the merit-based side, there are only 15 of these merit-based scholarships per year. And again, much more on the need-based side. And the need-based scholarships are going to range anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500 per year in the program. In order to be considered for the need-based scholarship, you will need to have your FAFSA on file. Once admitted, you then will receive guidance from the Office of Student Affairs about a brief application for these awards. And the Office of Student Affairs also provides information regarding our fellowships and assistantships at the school that usually start in the fall term. And generally here, our school is hiring around 60 to 70 student workers. And these positions help students gain experience as well as additional funding to help offset the cost of tuition. And now I'll turn it back over to Laura for our final Q&A session.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you, Professor Lamar. So we have reached the end of our formal presentation here in Open House, but we have 15 minutes left, which we have strategically made sure that we're leaving to answer the remainder of your questions. Specifically, they probably are more for the practicum learning and admissions. So for those of you who feel like you've gotten all the information you needed, I'm just going to say, again, one final welcome from all of us here at Rutgers School of Social Work. We're extremely excited that you've chosen to learn more about us. And hopefully this isn't the end of our conversation. We're going to be here to answer any of your questions as you think about applying, as you start to apply, as hopefully you get admitted and start enrolling. We're really here to support you through that process. So now I will open it up to questions. I'm here. Professor Lamar is here. We have our 2 students still available as well if you have pressing questions about the student experience. So raise your hand, or you can continue to type your questions in the chat box. I know Jotun has a question I saw earlier, I think related to practicum.
Hi, Dr. Lamar. So quick question. Is the practicum paid or is it not paid? I'm hearing different things from different schools. Can you help me with that?
I sure
And
can.
I understand when I was listening to the other certificate programs and whatnot, they said that's for the financial aid folks. They have scholarships with those. We'll talk about that later. If you can just answer that, sir.
Sure. Usually it's not paid. We are working to try to get this done to get pay either through employment-based or with scholarship support where we are able to, but we cannot guarantee paid internships.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nick, I see your hand. You're welcome to unmute.
Hi, Dr. Lamar. Hi, Laura. Dr. Lamar, so I am currently working for Rutgers school-based program for UBHC.
Oh, yeah.
And I was wondering, could I pursue my practicum learning at the center that I work at? However, I work with LPCs.
Right. We'd have to, as I said during the talk, Nick, and thanks for asking the good question, and UBHC is quite a place. We would have to investigate with UBHC. If you're a current employee, you've been there a while, very possibly we'd be able to make employment based. I don't want to guarantee something or give you a feeling it's a definite go, because we'd want to look at what the tasks are and the like. But if we could construct a placement that had you working toward the 10 competencies in social work that we prescribe, and we have a supervisor who is an MSW. Now, the LPC folks are good cousins of ours. We appreciate them. We'd have to find you an MSW, and we actually do that often for students with what's called an offsite MSW. So by itself, that wouldn't be a constraint, but we just want to really see if UBHC as your employer would permit us to have an internship. And if they would, we'd want to go ahead with it.
Okay. You said an offsite MSW, so
right. Yeah, you've said if you have LPCs, what every social work student will need at their internship is an MSW who will be able to provide practicum instruction. And how we've been able to address this where it's been in an organization that is maybe populated by LPCs or nurses or other professions that we work with, but not an MSW. We are able to engage what are called offsite MSWs, and that's somebody who we would engage for you on your behalf. You'd meet with them weekly for the hour, the MSW required supervision. And you'd have at your organization somebody designated to be a task supervisor, and that well could be an LPC or another professional.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good questions, though. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. I see another hand. I'm going to jump over to the chat really quickly. Stephanie, is it possible to switch program options while enrolled? So yes, it is possible. We really encourage students to do the investigation now, read through the curriculum, really think about what's going to work best for you in terms of formats, whether it's a full-time, a part-time program, an on-campus, an online, a blended. But yes, we understand that situations can change. And so if you start off in one program, your example in the 100% online program, and then perhaps you get a position working in human services, you're working full-time, and now intensive weekend works better for you. Yes, you can switch. That would just be an internal switch that you would work closely with your advisor, letting them know as soon as possible. Practicum hours and the curriculum are different for those programs, so that's going to be something that would have to be matched up. But yes, it is possible. Vanessa, you could go ahead and unmute and ask your question, please.
Thank you. So I was reviewing the admissions page, like starting to look through it, and I just have a quick question about work experience. It asked how many months of prior work experience do you have? Is that within the field, or is that can be like since day one, whatever type of work experience?
I think you're speaking to something that's on the actual graduate application,
yes.
Rather than on our website. Yes. So that's a very general, broad question because it's actually trying to fit for all of the graduate programs. You can put down your professional work experience, whether it's related or not related to social work. What's really going to be important to us in the admissions review is what's on your resume. That's really what we're looking for in terms of what your professional background has been. But yes, you can put your full professional years of experience.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Let me just see what else we have here. Does Rutgers offer tuition reimbursement if you work for the university? Yes, Rutgers does offer some tuition reimbursement. It is subject to the position that you're in. It's also subject to the amount of money that you make. So that would be something that you'd want to discuss with your supervisor and probably human resources as well to see what you're eligible for. Oh, I missed one. For the MSW Criminal Justice Program, how many days a week should we expect to be on campus for classes? Are classes scheduled to fit working schedules? I see Assistant Dean Hunter still here, so I can provide something, but I'll throw that over to you if you don't mind responding.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. How many days a week should you expect to be on campus for classes? We try to provide a variety of options. A good number of our students work part-time, some work full-time, which is very, very challenging. But I'm glad you're asking these kind of questions. We do offer on-campus, in-person sections. We also offer some online sections for even our traditional students. In social work, you will have a choice. However, we can't guarantee that we're going to be able to give you, provide you with online sections for all courses. We try to offer the required courses both during the day for students that are able to come to campus during the day. We also offer evening classes on all three campuses as well. The criminal justice courses, again, some are available via an online format, and some of them are available only in person. The criminal justice program that our dual degree is affiliated with is centered in Newark. They're based in Newark. So that's also something to keep in mind if you're interested in the dual degree criminal justice program, which is our most popular dual degree program. The courses that you'll be taking in criminal justice are based in Newark. Did I answer that question? Were there other,
I think so. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. There was another question related to practicum. What are some previous healthcare related practicum opportunities? Professor Lamar.
Sure, thank you. We work with a wide variety of hospitals. We work with primary care physicians. We work with clinics. We work with mental health centers, intensive outpatient programs. We work with many agencies that provide addictions and substance use services. So it's really a wide range of interventions at all levels and technologies of healthcare, but really a kind of a comprehensive profile. Good question, though.
Thank you. I thank you, Jonathan, for jumping in and providing some information regarding tuition. And Shreya, just to kind of add a little bit to what Jonathan provided, what is the difference in cost for the blended program versus the 100% online? We do like students to know that if you are a New Jersey resident, the blended online program is going to be the most affordable online option for you. Now, there are a couple of courses in the third year that are required to be taken on campus, so that's something important to keep in mind. But as a New Jersey resident, it is more cost effective in the blended online program because there is a New Jersey and an out-of-state rate for that one. The 100% online program, again, as Jonathan put in there, it's a flat rate per credit regardless of whether you're a New Jersey resident or an out-of-state resident. Okay, Jotun, I see your hand raised again. So
Yeah,
go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, thank you very much. So for financial aid, we heard earlier on that the certificates that they have for violence and for CHAPS have scholarships, which is interesting. Could you talk about that? And does that happen only in the second year when you do specializations, whether it's on the clinical side or the MAP side?
So you're asking, Jotun, about the scholarships and fellowships that are specific to the certificate programs?
That's right, yes. How does that help with the tuition reimbursement and all of that? Yeah.
So those would be facilitated and they would be offered during your specialized curriculum. There is that may be different for LISTA. They have been able to offer some scholarships outside of actually being in the program. But I would, for those specific scholarships, I would reach out to those certificate coordinators to ask how they're administered and how you apply for them. Obviously, you'd have to apply and get into the certificate program first.
Right.
Being a first-year student applying, so as a new applicant applying into the program, I'd refer back to what Larry described during the admissions presentation. There's the very limited merit-based scholarships that there's no application process for. You're simply applying to the MSW, putting together your strongest application, and we have about 15 of those merit-based scholarships for the 750 plus students that we enroll. So as you can imagine, they're extremely competitive, but no additional application. We're really just looking for the strongest applicants. But given our strong social justice mission, most of our scholarships are need-based, and those are administered through Assistant Dean Hunter's office after you confirm enrollment. You do need to have a FAFSA on file so that need can be assessed, and there is a merit component to it as well. So that's going to come, as I said, after you confirmed enrollment. You would receive information about a very brief application process for those.
Got it. Thank you. And the FAFSA, what takes your tax records and stuff into account?
That's correct. It's going to take your financial information into account. You'll be submitting W-2s and things of that nature along with your FAFSA.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. All right. So we are right at about time, and it does look like we've answered most of these questions. So I'm going to go ahead and close our program by just saying thank you so much to everyone who has been here today. You've had some really fantastic questions. It's stuff that sometimes we don't even think about, but it's wonderful to bring it up, to discuss it, and to be able to really flesh out all of these different ways that you can specialize, tailor your education at Rutgers. We started off the program, I think, talking about how we were different from some of those other institutions that you may be looking at. And I hope this 2.5 hours has given you a good sense of how we are different, and how hopefully we're the best choice for you. So let's keep the conversation going. We're going to plug our admissions email in there. So as you think about more things over the coming days and weeks and months, get in touch with us. That's what we're here for. I know it can be a little bit intimidating sometimes, but that is really what we're here for. So thank you again. I wish all of you a wonderful weekend. Take care and be well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having